I don't know why it's blank like
About
that.
it today,
I mean,
Chad
you
ran
can talk
into
to
me.
me.
I don't even care.
The levels I've got the line.
How's your
in
old football player?
microphone, but like on the recording, it's like
Sleeping there?
really low. That's when I rip it from
He will when he's 16 too, dude.
Probably. I'm not using their stuff. I still need to sit down with them and do it right. If I can get the quality up, I'm fine. But well, if there's a
Well, it looks like we're having a few different technical difficulties.
Going in?
I was, but now I'm not.
I'm in.
for the
Michael finally got me.
I actually think
I'll mess with it as we go. Good morning, everybody. Today is the 13th day of August, 2018.
level up is all I need. But appreciate it.
This morning, if we could open, it's kind of on the fly this morning. Stephanie, could you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance this morning? And John, could you lead us in prayer?
Be happy to.
Mix it up a little bit this morning.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Father in heaven, we are grateful to be gathered here today in the context of a commission meeting for Iron County. We're grateful for this wonderful land that we live in and that Thou hast placed us here. We are grateful for the rain that has fallen. We're grateful that the land is a little bit greener. We pray that Thou will bless us with what we need, and please protect us from fires, and wilt Thou please protect our citizens, especially those who cannot defend themselves. Help us to champion them, and please watch over and protect them. We ask for Thy favor to be upon this meeting today, that what may be said may be done in accordance with Thy will, and that the commissioners may be able to act with wisdom and judgment and foresight. We're grateful for the system under which we live. We're grateful for the United States of America. We're grateful for Utah, and we are grateful for Iron County. We love Thee, and we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Page available.
Everybody had an opportunity to look at the minutes.
Yeah, when John gets up here, move to approve.
We're recording, right? Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
June 11th.
What day was
June 11th.
Those are the minutes of
See?
June 11th,
Who you are?
2018.
Thanks.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. All right, we'll move ahead to department reports this morning. Start out with Mr. Garrett from the Iron County Attorney's Office.
Morning.
Morning, Scott.
Morning.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
All right, so the first document that I have attached there is our 2017 budget. The auditor got those numbers finalized and just sent them to me on Friday, so I thought I'd just present you with that. We came in under budget, had 5% left, so we felt good about that. And then the next page is our 2018 budget, ending July 31st, 2018, and as you can see, we have 51% of our budget remaining, so we're on track to finish under budget again. This year, I think that we probably will. I don't see any major expenses coming up. Everything looked good within our budget, so I feel good about that. Any questions on the budget?
Nope.
Looks good.
It's good.
And then the third page is our just our statistics that I keep every year. These are as of today. The couple that I would just note for the commission would be the felony cases, which is at 355, probably on track to finish around where we did last year at roughly 500 felony cases, which is fairly substantial. Again, I attribute a lot of that to the task force. You can see they're at 124 cases as of today, which would put them on track to finish ahead of where they were last year. And last year was the high for any year for the task force. So I think as long as Dane Glacier is in there, we're gonna be busy. And I know he's coming out, so we'll see what happens with those numbers. But task force is having a really big year again.
Do you have any other things that people or things that you attribute that high number to, a lot higher than it's been over the years?
The task force?
Yeah, the task force number.
Just the people that are working in there, particularly Dane. He spends a lot of time. Last year he filed on 115 cases himself. I don't know what his number is this year. I haven't looked at it, but I assume it's probably pretty high again.
So we have the opioid crisis in full steam, but the drug cases that they arrest people for, those you really don't think those are up from a few years ago? It's just that we're doing better enforcement, or?
Well, the number of cases that we're prosecuting are up, but in large part because of the task force. Let me say this: I think that there's what, 3 or 4 agents in the task force, and they're as busy as they want to be. If there were more agents there, they'd be still busy. So there's as much work there, I think, as one wants to do.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's just some of it comes down to just having the resources and the ability to put people in the task force to do the work. But there's always drug cases to investigate and prosecute. We've had 4 jury trials this year. Michael has conducted 3 of those. He's had 2 sex abuse cases, one in April and then one, I think, in July. Both resulted in convictions there. And then he had a DUI case sometime in between that as well. So it's been, we've had some serious cases that have gone to trial this year. We also have an attempted murder case that's scheduled for trial on August 29th. It's anticipated that'll go forward. That's a case with the Cedar City Police Department. And then there's some other big cases that are also slated to go forward this year. So we could end up with 6 or 7, I think, fairly substantial jury trials this year. One with the public defenders so far. There may be more before the end of the year. Other than that, I think the numbers are pretty much the same as where they've been. Nothing really major to report on there. So, any questions on that?
No.
The report seeing the absence of all-time highs.
Yeah, we haven't had a high for a couple years, have we? Well, last year I guess we had in the task force, but
Task force.
that'll probably be beaten this year, that number.
Be more or less.
It'll be more. I believe it'll be more. So we are at full staff now. We hired Marcus Gilson a couple weeks ago. He came to us from over in the Manti area. He had a couple years experience. He's working for a private law firm over there doing some prosecution, contract prosecution in the justice court over there. So we've got him situated in the justice court here as well as the juvenile court. We're excited about him, and we're excited to be full staffed again. I'm sorry?
What slot did he fill?
Well, Troy left, and then we've replaced him.
That's okay.
Yeah.
You decide to postpone that investigator until next year and let that.
Yeah, Chad can decide what he wants to do with that, and we'll go from there on that one. So we're doing good as an office. We're working hard and getting through summer. As you know, school starts tomorrow, and everybody's excited
Mr.
about
Blake
that.
says, "Thank you, God."
My 5th grader is less excited about that.
Yeah, my kids think they're not excited, but they're ready.
My 6th grader's not excited, but I'm excited for her.
Yeah, that's where I'm at too. And then football starts this Friday for the high schools, so we're excited about that as well. That has nothing to do with my report, but I thought you might want to know.
Good thing.
Yeah, so when you're done.
Okay. Any questions, commissioners? Do want to thank you, gentlemen, for all that you do and making it possible for us to do our jobs as well. So, thank you.
Thank you.
very much.
Children's Justice Center. Come on down.
Thank you.
Thanks, Stephanie.
Hey, morning, commissioners. I was in here just a few weeks ago in regards to talking about my budget, since my budget year runs from July to June. So it's always a little tough for Dan and I, since we run on 2 different calendar years. And so I'd already went through my budget when I was in here a few weeks ago, as well as my statistics. So I thought to myself last week, what can I bring to the commissioners this week in regards to the report of the CJC? And so what I decided is I wanted to bring the voices of the kids that visit the CJC to you today, so that you have an opportunity to just get a little bit of feedback in regards to the services that the CJC provides. So if you'll just take just a few seconds to take a look at the handful of letters that we've had of kids that have visited the CJC, just to kind of look through them, read their comments, and then we'll proceed from there.
I like how the one had drawn the microphone looking.
Mm-hmm. So each child that visits the CJC, we actually give them this form here. To us, it's the perfect feedback for us to kind of see what we're doing right, what maybe we could improve on. I didn't notice until I brought this that Stephanie didn't make the copy of the back. So the back actually is an opportunity for them to talk about what they, may have disliked about the center or what we could improve on. And luckily, it's usually blank, or they just put nothing or no, refer to the front. And so for us, this means a lot. It just reconfirms that the work that's being done at the Children's Justice Center is necessary. How it affects the kids and being able to come in and talk to somebody about what happened to them. We know through statistics that unfortunately, child abuse usually isn't disclosed right away. There's usually a delay in regards to disclosure, sometimes for many, many years. Unfortunately, I've had the opportunity to sit with grandmothers that were in their 70s, well, actually great-grandmothers that were in their 70s who were bringing their grandchildren into the center to talk about something that has happened to them, and have actually had grandmothers disclose to me and tell me that, you know, this happened to me when I was a little girl as well, and that you're the first person I've ever told. And they're 70 years old, you know. And so I feel that it's important for the commissioners to be able to see that, you know, that the support that you give the CJC is a support that you're giving our kids in our community, and how important it is for them to be able to have a safe place to come to talk about what happened to them, as well as to be able to seek justice. The toughest thing that we know about kids coming forward in reporting child abuse is all of the threats that have been made to them regarding them telling anybody all come true. Most often, the alleged perpetrator tells the kids, you know, if you tell anybody, I will get in trouble, I will go to jail, I will go to prison, your mommy will divorce me, or your dad will leave me, you will break up our family, you will destroy our family. And we know that unfortunately those things that these kids are threatened with, they actually do come to light. It is truth. I mean, when a child comes forward and we're able to prosecute him, someone is going to go to jail or to prison, and most likely the family is going to be split up. And we also know that statistics scream that the alleged perpetrators are not strangers. It would make it a lot easier on everybody if it was actually strangers that were committing these crimes against our children. But unfortunately, it's not. It's people that they love, they care about, and they trust. And most often a family member or a very, very close friend to the family, or somebody that they trust, which makes it even more difficult. And so I just wanted today to be able to bring to you just a little bit of feedback from these kiddos. You know, I get asked all the time, I don't know how you do this job. And it's this kind of feedback right here as to why I do this job. And we have an amazing multidisciplinary team. All of the different partnering agencies that sit on that, we all are like-minded in regards to the kids come first. Regardless, we want to make sure that they're okay and that they're receiving the services and the resources that they need, as well as their families, because the families are affected by it. I think what I've seen, and I think that a lot of people don't realize, is that this crime doesn't just affect that immediate family. It affects the extended family, it affects neighbors, it affects the school. You know, if there happens to be somebody that's within that school that they have to go see, it affects their church, if they happen to go to church with this individual. And so it's very widespread, the damage that abuse, when there's been abuse that's happened on a child. And so it's very, very difficult. It's very complicated and very complex. And sometimes that's really hard to show when you're looking at a statistical report. So in regards to this statistical report that I brought for you guys today, this is just actual interviews. So just actual children who have walked into the center who have received a forensic interview. Because we also provide services to families who don't get an actual interview. Perhaps their child is too small and not verbal enough, or it didn't warrant a forensic interview, but we still provide services. And so this is actual forensic interviews, and it shows you for Iron County as well as Beaver County. I think what's interesting about Beaver County is you'll notice that they've already this year have surpassed the numbers of what their total amount was last year. And Kane County is about, right where they were as well last year. Our medical exams are pretty much, on track with where we were last year, considering that we didn't actually have a medical examiner for, Daphne had left, and then Primary Children's had to go through the hiring process, and then they had to, is it called accredit them? It takes months. It's like, it took like 4 months. And so I don't think that credentialed them. And so it wasn't until I believe in April, I'm thinking it was probably April. And so we went for January, February, March, April without a medical examiner, and we were having to refer families down to Washington County in order to receive services. And so that kind of affected our numbers this year in regards to our medical exams. And then, of course, we've talked about the therapy in school and just how we've completely superseded our goal numbers in regards to that as well.
Who's our new examiner? Sorry to interrupt. Who's our new examiner, medical examiner?
It's Amy Blake.
Oh. Okay, that's good on that.
So
Well, you couldn't get anybody better than that.
yeah, so she's our, it's Amy, before we even had a medical program, and even before Dr. Burrows was doing it off-site, when we were talking about putting together a medical program in regards to contracting with somebody, Amy's been there from the very beginning and has just really held our hands and has really helped on building those relationships and partnerships with the Intermountain Healthcare here and linking us with services with Primary Children's. And so we always talk about, we find it interesting how we've kind of made full circle, and now Amy is our nurse practitioner of our medical program. So it's been great having her and Kim Wild, who's our RN at the center, and she's been with us for a few years now. And so it's nice to have that as well. We've got a golf tournament coming up the end of September. Cyrus from the Pastry Pub, last year he just contacted me out of the blue and said, hey, I want to put on a golf tournament for you. Love the Children's Justice Center, and he's kind of taken it on himself. And so then this year he decided he wanted to do it again because it was so successful. And then we also have our Dancing with the Stars coming up later on this year. We're looking October, end of October, November time period, and I'll have more information on that later. We're just working on putting together all of that right now.
I know Commissioner Brinkeroff wants to sign up for the golf.
Okay, awesome.
Well, I'm pretty bored. Not quite that much.
So, let's see. Does anyone have any questions at all?
Stephanie, these are really more than touching. Is the usual mix about the same 5 to 2, that there are 5 girls to 2 boys?
Yeah, it is.
Is that
It is. We do. We definitely see more girls than boys. There's a lot of information around that, for one. In the 16 years I've been I think it's harder for boys to come forward, a lot harder for boys to tell anybody that something's happened to them. You kind of even look at, if you even take the adult world in regards to, professionals who perpetrate, and when it's a female perpetrator, people have a really hard time with understanding that it's more palatable for people to think that a male has perpetrated as opposed to a female. I think the numbers are about equal. I just think that it's not reported as much.
Okay.
And I think it's tougher for kids, even for the boys that do come forward. It is really hard for them to come forward.
and the older they get, probably the harder? In late teens?
Absolutely, just because of all the reasons that we talked about, how, someone is most likely going to go to jail, prison, the family's going to be split up. Victims will have a really tough time in regards to thinking that it's their fault somehow. They feel shameful, they feel dirty, it's tough. They really struggle with that. And so that's why it's so important for us to make sure that they're getting the resources, that we're linking them with counseling services so that they can go ahead and work through that and go on to be, happy, productive adults, when they head out there into our big bad world.
Well, we've had the same conversation for a long time. It's still true that we have too many government programs that are top-heavy and basically worthless, frankly, welfare programs. It's good to have a program that, it's not good to have the problem, it's good to have a program that deals with those who can't help themselves. And that's why it's so important to me that this CJC thing function and make the best possible light of kids that, people who have to come in and seek help. It's someplace that no family wants to go.
Exactly.
So anyway, I appreciate what you do. And
We appreciate your support It really means a lot to us. Makes our job a lot easier, having the support of all of you guys.
Don't have an easy job. Like, I don't know how you go home and sleep very well at night after listening to and seeing the trauma on some of these kids.
You know, we have a really great team, a very supportive team that we can sit and talk with and kind of, you know, vent out, you know, how we're feeling. As well as we try really hard to focus on not the act of what's happened, but where are we going from here? What can we do to, you know, just provide the most support and care to these kids and these families and get them moving in the right direction so that they can be happy and healthy.
But these little, not reports, these little letters seem to suggest that, to me, that most kids would be comfortable to call you after hours or call you back.
Oh, and we do. We've actually have had kids show up on our doorstep in the middle of the day because they maybe are struggling with another issue that's come up, you know, later on. And so we love that we have kids that are willing to come and just show up and that they're willing to ask for help. So that's what we're there for.
Very important program as far as I'm concerned. I thank you for being so into it. How's things in the Garfield County?
We are just getting ready to start moving forward in regards to that. We've already have made quite a few connections. Garfield County is actually excited and eager to get things going as well, and so we're looking at just kind of a soft room facility there. At this point in time, it doesn't warrant for us to really get like a standalone building yet. Our victim coordinator from Beaver will actually be the one that will go over for any kind of interviews and be there for the families.
Have some space now?
We're working on that right now. We've got a couple of different options actually. So we're going to see which one works probably best for everybody.
Opportunity at the health office?
I haven't heard anything from the health office.
Health and behavioral health?
No, I have not, but I can check with them in regards to that. So we have a few moms who have actually used our facility here in Cedar City, and they're also working with us. And you know, there's no greater resource out there than moms who've actually had the opportunity to come to the center in Iron County, see the benefits of it, and for them to be able to help us within their own community come up with what would be the best thing for all of them in that area.
You're acquainted with Mike Deal
I am.
and Blodgett both?
Not familiar with that gentleman.
Dave Blodgett, he's the health director for Southwest Public Health.
Okay. So I work with Michael.
Office down on
Is it Michael Kane?
Mike Kane is
Mike
the
Kane.
clinician in,
Okay.
in
Yeah. So I've worked with him on some things.
with Deal in behavioral health.
Okay. So yeah, I'll definitely reach out to them so we can get that going.
There's a big new building in Panguitch that mental health and behavioral health and public health both.
I will call them right away because all we need is a room.
Maybe that might work for you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions at all?
Thanks so
No.
much, Stephanie.
Okay, thanks.
Thank
Now
you.
stick around. Do you need me to stick around for anything? Okay. And then do you have the victim advocates on the agenda for the sheriff's office?
Yes, they're on they're
Right.
they're at the end.
Oh, they're at the end.
They're with personnel.
Okay.
Chief Adams from Cedar was going to come over
Okay.
as well and wanted to talk to you or
So do you want me to come back? Do you want me to say anything about it right now? So I actually wrote the grant for those two positions. So I just didn't know if the commissioners need any clarification in regards to how it will work or anything.
Says per Stephanie Furnable, this position.
I understand it, but these guys might want to hear a blurb.
The reason I was reading it is because when I read it, Stephanie said it's a form of a grant, and I didn't
Right.
think about it anymore. So, so I don't really have any questions.
You don't have any questions? Okay, if you have any questions, let me know. I'm going to make sure that, so this will be handed over to Del Schlosser in the sheriff's office. You know, once it's up and running, he'll actually be their supervisor. And so I will work on getting them trained for them to understand how to be able to do the grant reports that need to be done, as well as when it comes time for the grant to be submitted again, because this one's only good for 1 year, but then the next one will be good for 2 years. I'll help them go through and write it and walk them through it. So
Good.
be happy to help out there. So, hey,
Excellent.
thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Justice Court.
Did you get your report?
Yes, this morning.
Thank you, Lori.
Thank you.
Check and see when it was sent. Will you please?
Not an awful lot to report today. Everything is pretty status quo in the Justice Court. I just handed you the budget figures up through July, and we are on track. Just wanted to make note of the fact that as of July 31st, Judge Miller has returned to the office and is working full-time, and she is doing well. And the item there that you see that is contracted services, you know, that is the figure for the judges that stood in and helped with our different hearings throughout the last few months. And that says 4,700. It's probably going to be more like 52. I think there's some figures missing, so I'll go through and make sure of that. And I just wanted to publicly thank, on behalf of the court and the judges, Judge Cox and Judge Bradshaw and Judge Whitlock. They were just really neat gentlemen and stepped in there, and we're happy to help. So we really appreciate all that they did for the court and for Judge Miller. The only other little thing I was going to tap on, and it's not a big budgetary item, but merchant fees. You know, when we went to the instant payments and we no longer were collecting the merchant fees, we didn't think that we needed that category anymore. Wrong. Because of the growing use of fraud with credit cards, there will be some merchant fees that'll be associated with chargebacks and reversals. So we get hit with that, but we do pass it on to the defendant, whether it be in the form of a fee or part of their warrant, because, you know, if that credit card's being reversed, then in most instances a warrant will be issued for the lack of payment. Which is a failure to comply. So most of that will be recouped. It's just a matter of when.
Looks pretty minimal anyway.
It's nominal. So I talked to Dan Jessen, and we're going to just maintain a little item there, maybe $500 moving forward in budget years. And that's about it for the Justice Court. I didn't know if anybody had any questions.
It's pretty self-explanatory, and
I mean, we're just doing really good.
We appreciate it.
Yeah, everything's going smooth. You know, we're still staffed with 7 full-time clerks and still working through projects, and everything's much more organized and aligned and running smooth. We've got staff now that's, I think, at the youngest, 1.5 years in terms of experience. So the turnover rate has slowed down, and we've got a really nice group of people that work really well together, and we're proud of that. The public defender budget is on there, but as you know, based on the vote last time and the conversations with the AOC, the public defender now will be reported through Adrian Walker. So I think he meets with you in 2 weeks, and he'll represent the public defender budget. Obviously, it's being transitioned, and I'm going to help him to make sure that that goes smoothly. So whenever he needs my help, that's you know, I'm happy to help. And if there's not any other questions.
Well, thank you.
All right.
We
Thanks.
appreciate it. Jared from IT.
Matt Conrad had that up to 1,000 right now.
Live and die by technology, right? We're going to see if this works. But I emailed off the budget form, and then also just a little Word document I drew up there for you guys to view. So I didn't bring anything with me. So if this doesn't work, then I look bad, really bad. So anyway, so there's the report right there as far as things going. Just some statistics there for you is work orders for the last 3 months, May, June, July. We had 1,024 that were completed during that 3-month time period. And year to date, we're at the 2,238. So it's kind of some numbers of how much quantity comes through the office. And
The magic keys again,
so
Michael.
Control, delete, right? Or just delete.
Having technical problems during the IT director?
During the report. So it works out good. So so the next thing on there is just some of the projects that we've completed recently. We've moved the assessor's office to a new server. That was a huge migration too, going from an Oracle database to a SQL database. It's working, I think, better. So it seemed like it went well. So we're happy with that. We also updated the commissary lockdown piece for the jail as well, so they're functioning there. And our biggest one, Stephanie just left with the Children's Justice Center, is we got the fiber and new phone lines into there. Her and I are working together on it, and I'll get you the numbers, but we're looking to kind of see how much money we're going to save in that process. And when we were going into it, Commissioner Blake was kind of part of that, and we kind of had some estimates, and I don't remember the estimates, so I don't dare send them out, but I remember that they were significant enough that we jumped on it because we could see the cost savings involved. But one thing I do want to hit on is it's not just a cost saving factor. Now we've got them on the phones, so we can fully support all their phones. We've got a fiber backbone to them, so now we can control and back up everything. We can keep multiple backups, keep them up and running that way. So there's just a lot more service that we can provide as an IT staff to the Children's Justice Center with this fiber connection. So,
And is it up and functioning now?
it is. Yep. We're still working on a couple little loose tie-ins and that, but it's functioning. They're on the fiber, and the phones are turned on as well.
Awesome. Thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, it's fun. So we got current projects going on, and I don't know if you want me to, I can visit about each one of them. I don't know how much time you want me to spend on all of them, but we've got some migrations and upgrades that we're currently going. The one that there's one that I'd like to hit is the disaster recovery plan. With the new staff available, both Josh and I now have a little bit more time. We can start to working on it. We're going to do phases on this disaster recovery plan. So if something were to happen, how we'd recover, what we're going to do to recover, the information, get everybody up and going. And once we get a little bit closer into it, then I'll sit down with all the elected officials, department heads, and get their input on how they want their offices to run as far as recovering from a disaster, backup recoveries and that. So that's in place. We've got some equipment already in-house ready to start phase one. So we just got to get it up and ready.
Let's hear about some things you got going on.
Yeah. Well, tell us about the rest.
About the rest of them?
Yeah.
Okay. So the utility billings and account receivable, it's an Encode software. It's for the finance stuff. They've been on version 9 for a long time. And the reason why we haven't moved to version 10 is we didn't want duplicate entries, but we're to that point now to where they can talk. So we're going through that process to upgrade them to version 10. It's about a 4-month-long process. It's a long one, going step by step to get everything upgraded. So we estimate that should be done the first part of November, and it'll be nice. It'll streamline a lot of things for them.
We appreciate your support in the clerk's office. I know that it's been a process, and it's gone as smoothly as it could.
Yeah, there's always a few hiccups and things that you forget about. I forgot about Nicole, and she was really good to be patient with me and understanding. And Chanel's been great too, to help out. She's been kind of the main focal point in your office with it, but she's really taken the bull by the horns and helped us a lot too. So it goes both ways. But thank you. So.
Bet. It's been good.
Kind of in lines with that is the Tyler Content Manager on the bottom. It's a management software piece that I haven't visited with Cindy yet about this, so you might want to listen up because I'm not entirely sure how well it might function for you. But my understanding is right now is that this content manager piece is a way to manage all types of scanning documents and all that stuff. And it can be used in more than just Encode. That's why I think it'll work out well for you, Cindy. But they're working with me on it right now to figure out if that's really feasible. But that installation is happening in 2 weeks where we'll get that on board. And the main purpose for it is to help out the auditor's office and getting our pay stubs to be electronically emailed to everybody instead of paper. So just kind of moving away from that and a few other aspects with it as well.
Excellent.
So, which will save some money. We like saving money.
Say that a little louder.
Order those special self-gluing pay stub things.
So yeah, we'll reduce some costs there as well, which will be really good. So the other part of that disaster recovery is that server upgrades there. What we've done is we've gone out. It's actually kind of old technology, old as in a decade or so, but it's just now come down in price where it's feasible for us to start to utilize it, and a lot of bugs are worked out. So in a lot of aspects, it's really good for us. But we've got what we refer to as nodes, a cluster server, to where we can spin up a lot of virtual machines. And what this will allow us to do is we're going to end up migrating all of our phone system. That's the ShoreTel system. We'll migrate that into this cluster, along with the first ones will be Encode and Eagle. And we'll put all those on there. And what we're really excited about is next year, the plan is to put into budget is to get another cluster. And we'll have the cluster here currently at the courthouse, and we'll have another one over in the sheriff's office. And this way, with those clusters, we can actually set them up, and we can, if something were to happen here and we were to lose a server, we can just instantly spin it up instead of waiting for hardware to show up to get everybody up and running. So instead of being a couple, 2 to 3 days possible, we're hours away from being live with the server. So if we had hardware failure, so that I think covers all those.
So on the disaster recovery, will you coordinate with the emergency management director on that night? Have you met George? Or
I did. I met George this morning.
Okay,
So
great.
excited, but yeah, we will for sure. We'll go through there and want to get all the elected officials, department heads, kind of get their ideas of what's satisfactory, what's not, and where we need to be. So there's the budget. So the only thing on the budget that I feel like I need to make you aware of is Dan and I have actually been communicating about it. We changed my 280 line there from telephones to communications. The reason why we did that is I had bills that I was separating out, and it was just becoming a pain, and we just thought, let's consolidate them so we don't have to separate these bills out. Let's call it communications. So we'll end up eliminating the network maintenance line item, the very bottom one, and we'll merge that into with communications. And so that's why it shows that communications of being only 12% of the budget left, is because that process started. But we should be fine, right, Dan? Working through it. So I just want to make you aware of that. So Dan's great to work with. So other than that, everything on the budget, as far as looking at it at my standpoint, we're doing well. There's a few others that are low, but they're ones that you guys know about. The software maintenance. We pay most of the software maintenance up front in January, so there's only a few percentages left on that, like maybe about 8% or so, from what I remember. But we won't go over budget; it'll stay there. So any specific questions for me? That's about all I got.
No, I appreciate your attendance to everything and everybody's issues and keeping us running.
Appreciate it.
We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jared.
Anything from the commission this morning? We're plugging along a little ahead of schedule.
I got a couple of things. I was really tickled to hear that the BLM removed 250 horses off of our western ranges in Iron and Beaver County. And this happens when they herd horses with a helicopter. One or two crashed into a fence, and some of the animal rights activists are up in arms over that. But very minimal. in that way. And anyway, the 250 were removed, and none of them will be returned to the range. So that is a major improvement over the numbers that we've seen removed from the range in the last few years. So really tickled with the BLM and how well they're working, and they've just been really responsive of late. And the other, spent a day at Zion National Park. I wished I could have been hiking, but I was in a meeting regarding the visitors use plan. I don't know how many of the public realize, but because of the over 4 million visitors per year, they're talking about going to a reservation system, which is not going to be popular. So I told them that they ought to at least have part of the year be non-reservation, like in the winter months at least, because I know the locals don't want to have to get reservations, but it's kind of become a crisis. So if you have any input on that, let me know, because we're definitely haven't made a final decision. And we're a cooperating agency. We won't be able to make the final decision, but we have input. So that's all I have. Thank you.
And the horse that got in the barbed wire, people ought to look at the 3 dead carcasses that we saw when we did the horse ride with AYL some time back, and see those scrawny, emaciated looking horses out on the range, and then feel bad that one got in there. Barbed wire. It's kind of a lopsided environmental disaster.
Are you going to have George Green personnel or now? Or?
I don't know. Was it on?
George Colson. Well,
was it on personnel or?
Well, he's going to be approved today, but I just wondered where he's here. If you want.
Yeah, let's do that. George, would you like to introduce yourself?
Morning, Commissioners. My name is George Colson. I'm the new County Emergency Coordinator for Iron County. And I come from a fairly extensive background, 25 years in the military, law enforcement, and emergency management. So I've got quite a few years behind me in that field.
Excellent.
Good. Welcome.
I'd just like to say I was involved in that hiring process, both with looking at applications and sitting in the actual interviews. George by far stood heads and shoulders above the other candidates, both with operational experience, planning experience. John Higley left some pretty big shoes to fill. He really did a good job for us, and we were a little bit concerned about that transfer of responsibility and didn't want to lose ground with where we are. I'm very confident that we made the right decision and that we'll be off to the races and without skipping a beat. So,
well, I appreciate it. I have some pretty deep roots in this part of the country. I got daughters that are married to Brinkerhoffs, and
Poor lady.
Well, I'm not going to comment on that, Commissioner. And then I've worked with some of the Blakes from Panaca, and so I'm an alumni of SUU and have lived in Cedar City before, so I'm familiar with the county, and I look forward to the opportunity to serve Iron County.
And I'll give you a fair warning. I met with some of the fire chiefs the other day, and they were asking if you were up and running yet because they had some issues and projects that I said, yep, let him have it.
Well, I'll probably leave straight here and go over and see Chief Phillips then and see what his issues are.
They're I don't remember exactly, but they were. It's all communications related, pager related. Everbridge.
John filled me in partly, and I know that I've got some short fuses that I gotta address quickly.
And I think, especially when it comes to that, our fire guys, especially Chief Phillips, they're kind of experts in the area, and they can catch you up to speed, and they're pretty easy to work with.
Well, again, I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank Thank
Welcome, George.
Welcome to the family.
you. All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Anything? Okay. We'll take a break and come back at 10 o'clock to start the 10 o'clock agenda. Go from there. All right, it's a little after 10, but we will be back on the record with our 10 o'clock. First item of business this morning is a public hearing to receive comments and consider action for proposed right-of-way vacation and amended plat for lots number 5 and 6 in the Allard Ranch subdivision located in the southwest quarter, section 29, T34S, R9W, SLB&M, Iron County, Utah. Reed, I believe.
Good morning, Commissioners. This is a vacation, proposed vacation of an old easement that was required to get access in the back of the Allard Ranch subdivision to the water system. Since then, they've done another phase of that subdivision to the east of that allows for access right up the main road and to the water facilities. So this easement is no longer required and isn't being used and has been fenced off, and so the property owner would like it vacated so that they can know that they aren't going to have to maintain an easement through there. So it's pretty straightforward.
Okay.
Proper notifications have been done, the property's been posted, notifications have been sent to surrounding property owners. And so this public hearing is for an opportunity for other comment.
Okay. Any?
Open the public hearing, you want to do it? How do you want to do it?
I appreciate that. Okay, Chair declares the public hearing open in regards to this matter. Any comments? Okay. Seeing none regarding agenda item number 1, we'll declare the public hearing now closed.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the vacation of lots 5 and 6 in the Allard Ranch subdivision located in the southwest 1/4, section 29, Township 34 South, Range 9 West, Iron County, Utah.
It's been motioned and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, it is approved. Item number 2 will be a public hearing to receive comment, consider action for proposed road vacation and amended plat of Castletown site, block 9 and 16, Castletown site survey located in the southwest quarter of section 16, Township 36 South, Range 15 West, the Salt Lake Base and Meridian, Iron County, Utah.
Thank you, Commissioners. This is the third, I think, that we've done in the last year or so in the Newcastletown area. These are the little alleys that were running between the narrow, small lots, and this allows the lots to be combined so that it's large enough to build on one without having to build on the property lines, and to vacate the little alleys that aren't being used and have not been used. So this is just on the furthest east side of the Newcastle original plat, and for that alley that ran up that east side. So half of the property will go to each property owner when that little alley is vacated.
Okay, thank you. Chair declares public hearing open in regards to agenda item number 2. Any comment? Seeing none, Chair declares the public hearing closed and
So, Mr. Chairman,
for action.
I move the approval of vacation for the amended plat of Castletown site block 9 and 16, Castletown survey, located in the southwest corner of section 16, Township 36 South, Range 15 West, the Salt Lake Base Meridian in Iron County, Utah.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That is approved. Did we have another, or are those the only 2?
Other 2 are number 5 and 6. They didn't require public hearing.
Right. I'm going to go ahead and move on to items number 5 and 6 just to take care of those so that we can get those signed and
I'm sure the engineers here will be glad to.
moved on. So skipping over to item number 5. Discussion and possible approval of the proposed amended plat of lot 22 and 23, Block A, Ski View Estates, Unit A, amended location in the northeast quarter, southeast quarter, Section 34, Township 35 South, Range 9 West, Salt Lake Base Meridian, Iron County, Utah.
This is simply, and this and the next one, I'll explain, are two platted lots side by side that are not large enough because of the topography that the property owner would like to build over the lot line, or close to the lot line, so they're taking two lots and just eliminating the lot line between the two of them. So we're amending that plat to, in this case, lots 22 and 23 would then become 22A, and we would just have one lot there instead of two and eliminate that lot line between the two original lots. And then the next one, while I'm up here, I'll just speak to that. The same thing with lots 6 and 7 in Old Town subdivision phase 2. Again, the same thing, combining two lots into a single lot. We would have a lot 6A instead of a lot 6 and 7.
Want to take those in one motion?
Or
well, maybe whatever you think.
Let's just let's do a separate motion on each.
All right, I move regarding item number 5, move approval of the proposed amended plat of lots 22 and 23, Block A, Ski View Estates, Unit A, amended, located in the northeast 1/4, southeast 1/4, Section 34, Township 35 South, Range 9 West, Salt Lake Base, the Meridian, Iron County, Utah.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Call for a motion on 6.
The motion on item number 6 is approval of the vacate the amended plat for lots 6 and 7 into a new lot 6A of the Block B Old Irontown subdivision phase 11, located at 17788 West, 3875 South in Cedar City, Utah, southwest quarter of Section 5, Township 37 South, Range 14 West, and Salt Lake Base Meridian in Iron County, Utah.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. They're approved. I'll take a break and sign those. Let's do that really quickly and.
Number 6. Number 8 is.
Oh. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's a simple act, but it's a long description. Item 8.
All right. We're going to, having gotten those out of the way, let's skip back to item number 3. Discussion regarding all-terrain vehicles, all-terrain vehicle safety on mountain roads, possible solutions, also road damage caused by excessive speed. This item number has been requested by Mr. Destry Batt.
Morning.
Good morning.
Alma, Dell. I don't know you, Mike. So.
I'm Mike. We haven't met. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Okay. this might take a minute, but I'd like to welcome all the law enforcement here today that is behind me on this matter. A couple years ago, I was taking the trailer up the property, and there was a woman that had rolled her four-wheeler on Dry Lakes Road. She had absolutely no idea how to give directions to dispatch where she was. Dan Guyman was going over Navajo Ridge trying to find her, Aspen Drive, till I got there and my wife, they didn't know how to get an ambulance or any help to her. Her son had a helmet on, she didn't. She was injured and needed to leave in the ambulance. And then June 20, and that accidents up there happen all the time. Shane Jones, he was going to try and be here today. We're talking about around Bryan Head, Dry Lakes Road area up around there, for those in here that don't know. And he's taken several people to Bryan Head for medical attention. June 29th of this year, my wife was taking me over to Bryan Head to get a backhoe to take back over to our place. And I was going over to Navajo Ridge, and I moved over and slowed down to let these two motorcycles go by. The first one got no more than 20 feet in front of me, romped the throttle and threw rocks all over our car. Now, I'm only going 15 miles an hour, and that's, you know, not excessive by any means, or none too slow. The second one did the same thing. I was so mad, if I could have caught him and run him off the road, I would have, literally, even though that's stooping to their level. Then, on Sunday was taking the backhoe back over to Bryan Head. Four-wheeler up there, goes flying down the road up on the Navajo Ridge, bails off the side out through, and that's all Forest Service to the best of my knowledge. Goes down off through the grass and everything, chasing David Burton's sheep around on the hill, comes flying back up over the road, didn't look or nothing, and comes and jumps right back up and lands back in the county road again. Goes past me on the left, I'm still in the backhoe, goes down, passes my wife and the other vehicle behind us, then passes the car between, gets between my wife and the car, and sitting there fishtailing, throwing rocks all over the car behind him. I told my wife to slam on her brakes and let him rear-end her. He'd be the one at fault. Then on that Monday, my wife had went back to work. I'd come to town, got more supplies to go back to the mountain. I get up there between the Horseshoe Bend and what we call Crystal Springs Creek right there. And a motorcycle comes flying around the turn. Again, I don't dare drive more than 15 miles an hour up there. I come around the turn there just past the bend. Here comes a motorcycle flying up out of that hole, making the turn, sliding sideways like he's on a racetrack, sees me. I come to a stop. He hits the brakes, lays it down, slides down the county road. I see him disappear under the front of the truck, and I'm waiting for the thump. Never happens. He stands up and goes off. The only safety gear he had on was a helmet. He gets down the road behind me, and I can tell he's hurt because he stops, and he's looking over his body and everything. No more than I get ready to get out of the vehicle to see if he's okay, here comes his buddy doing the same thing. Only he's able to get it under control and not lay his bike down, and goes around me. I proceed on. Four-wheeler comes around, doing the same thing. He goes on by, runs over the boulders on the side of the road, and down the road he goes. I get down around, here's an out-of-state car flying down the road again, a white one. This is all in just a matter of a few minutes. I finally get the property where it's safe again. Later that week, Matt Bueller, Officer Bueller, comes up. Me and him we're talking there at the gate and everything. He's in his personal vehicle. And he makes some phone calls, and he leaves and gets right back down there to the same road, same part in the road. If it had been 5 seconds sooner, he'd have hit a razor down there sliding around the turn with 4 people in it. Somebody would have probably gotten killed in that one. A week later, My understanding, I don't know for sure, there's an accident up on the Navajo Ridge involving a razor rolling down the road. Somebody's injured, and I heard they had to life flight them off. Now, nowhere up there, I've seen, well, one time in my life I've seen a county deputy up there, and that was this summer. Not during any holiday or anything. He was just up there on a weekend, just, you know, enjoying the drive. I've seen one DWR officer up there in my life, and that's Dan Guyman's dad. That was years ago. And I've never seen a Forest Service officer up there, except for Matt Bueller. And you've seen some rangers up there when Jeff Hunter was logging pines. Nowhere up there is there a speed limit sign. Nowhere up there is there anything advocating any kind of safety. I don't know if you guys were on the commission, but they designated all that ATV trails. Brian Head is pushing ATVs to come up there and people to ride them and enjoy and everything in the summer. I hear the advertisement in Las Vegas. I hear it in San Bernardino County. I hear it in Orange County. And nobody's trying to do anything to keep it a safe haven for everybody that lives here and the ones coming here to enjoy it. Now, I don't care who you are, but if you're sliding sideways around a turn, you're not enjoying it. You're too busy looking at what's right there point blank in front of you, not what's down the road or what's around you. There are some people in this town that have lots up there along Dry Lakes Road. They won't even pull the trailers up there anymore because of the dust and the noise and the speed of these vehicles. You know, it used to be just the four-wheelers, and they weren't bad. You'd hear them up there spinning Brodies, you know, and stuff in the intersections and in the road, and it wasn't that big a deal. But these newer ones have got a lot more horsepower, and they go a lot faster and a lot quicker. And I've got the sheriff on my side. I've got Matt Bueller on my side. I got Dan Benson and Dan Guyman on my side, and I got Ken Carpenter on my side. I want to see some speed limit signs put up there, and we need to start enforcing it. And when they get a ticket, you get a ticket in San Bernardino County, and you're doing 1 mile an hour over 55, it's a $385 ticket. I have not received one, okay? Not that I haven't sped down there, but I have not got a ticket. If the ticket hurts, people are going to pay attention. I don't know what the fine is, but right now you can't write a ticket. What are you going to get them for? Reckless driving? Maybe. You're not going to get them for speeding because there isn't a speed limit sign. You going to get them destruction of private or public lands? Yeah, if there's somebody there. But you go up there now to every one of those turns, and on the inside of every one of them turns, they have cut them out. There's a culvert that was put in. They hauled the gravel out of our property to put it in, up there on that Crystal Springs Creek. It's a 36-inch culvert. 6 feet of it's exposed now. You can't grade the road through there because you'll hit it. And it's solid black with tire marks from them guys coming around that turn and throwing all the dirt off the road and everywhere else. Over that weekend up there, because I took the whole week off to do fence work up there on the mountain, the county graders sat there the whole week, and I don't know how far he went over the Navajo Ridge, but he sat right there at that fork in the road and never dropped his blade once. Not once. And I went by him 3 different days, and he was sitting in his pickup next to that grader. So if we've got the money to pay our employees to sit and do nothing, we've got the money to pay our deputies to go up there and patrol that. And not just Dry Lakes. This is not just a Dry Lakes problem. You know that, Alma. Okay?
I can give you some testimony on that. But anyway, continue.
Yeah, we could go on all day, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But, and I know nothing's going to get resolved right here, right now, today. But every one of these agencies want to do something. They know there's a problem. And if we don't do something about it now, we're going to end up like Duck Creek. Kevin was just telling me about it. Matt Bueller's told me about it. He was married to my niece-in-law. About all the trouble they have over there. Now, Kane County and Garfield County both have a deputy, an officer assigned to the mountain. Okay? I was actually going to call their sheriffs and talk to them and pick their brains and find out. I didn't have time. So I probably wouldn't have remembered half of what they told me anyway. But I want to see some speed limit signs up there. And I mean, maybe you guys can pass a resolution to make that happen today. I don't know. I don't know how all that works.
Well, I'm over the road department. We don't have to pass resolutions to put up speed limit signs. So we'll look at it. And we have our own sign shop, so it's very easy for us to do signs. And the sheriff has some comment.
Sheriff.
Go ahead. Anybody any of you guys got input, get up here.
After Destry called me the other day and told me about this problem, I sent an email to Wade Adams and kind of laid this out for him. And he's actually in the process of doing a study up there to start doing some more signage. So he responded back right away and said he'd get right on it. So.
And what about patrols? I know in the past you've had people like Wayne Townsend that would go like to the Yankee and, you know, a few hours a week or a couple of times a week that were kind of a reserve officer or something. What?
Well, as far as deputies patrolling up there, I can say that that's not done as much as it needs to be because we're shorthanded, and we have a high call volume. You know, we have to stay in the area where all our calls are coming from, so it doesn't get covered as good as it should be. But our VIPs do run up through there at times.
VIPs, yeah.
So, but anyway, it could definitely use more coverage, but we can only do with what we have. So.
What is the speed limit on those county roads, just out of curiosity?
My understanding, if it's a gravel road, it's 40 miles an hour unless it's posted otherwise. And then it has regulatory for the turns. But none of that, and he's right, none of that, it isn't marked very good up there. Right. But Wade he said he was going to get right on it. So.
Okay, good. It's a nationwide problem, a west-wide problem, there's no question. On the forest allotment up here that mostly burned the Bowery a few years ago, they were hacking trails everywhere, you know, and I talked to the Forest Service and they put up barriers and helped with that situation. But because I'm sure that the majority of riders are responsible, but maybe.
I'd like to think that. And you'd think differently.
I know we have a club in the county, you know, and they're very responsible, and they, you know, and they like to have loops, you know, and they, you know, they want to make it something that's sustainable. But there is definitely a problem, and we want to be part of the solution, no question.
I know that, you know, after that close call, that's not the first one I've had. Yeah. David's probably had more than me. He goes up there more than I do, and. But, you know, I'd rather come in here and fight and argue with you guys to make something happen up there so that it's to bring back the pleasure for everybody, the citizens and the ones coming in and visiting and seeing it, okay? Then I would have to go stand in the courtroom, me or anybody else, and fight with a judge and attorneys to prove our innocence that we didn't do anything wrong because somebody got killed. And it's coming. It is coming. If it's not stopped, you know, and something done. And Dan Benson said that even though that's out of their area, you know, they'd look at maybe trying to go over there a little bit more when they could. Matt Bueller and Kevin are going to try and look at it a little more and put up signage and stuff, you know. But between those agencies and you guys, I want to make it a safe haven again for everybody.
And Destry, so do we. So we don't have an argument with your point.
Okay.
No, not at all.
I'm tired of being the one up there just bitching about it. I decided to come down here and try and do something about it.
It was a good
Thank
project.
you. Appreciate it. Sir.
I'm with Cedar City Trailblazers. My name's
I've
Greg.
met you out west before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And that's the group I referred to there.
We
Good.
we do a lot of help with the BLM and on cleanup and stuff like that for the ATVs and stuff. And we're pretty. There's nobody in my club that does what these guys do, what he's saying these guys do up there on the mountain. And we've all seen them. We've all run into them. We've been out on a ride and run into people coming sideways at us. And yeah, there's. But 40 miles an hour on a dirt road, it's 40 miles an hour on 2300, and it's a paved road.
Right.
Will you tell us your name?
Dirt is. My name's Greg Wasnam. 40 miles an hour on the dirt. That's pretty fast. I mean, the fire road race is gonna be happening this week, and 40 miles an hour on the dirt for them's nothing. But that's an approved run up there. So.
Sure. And our problem, I don't know if it's our problem, but the speed limits are set by the legislature. But we can certainly be more responsive to try and get some patrols up there and get some slow down signs, whatever we need to do to try and regulate that. Because I agree.
Make your own speed limit signs. You can't pass a resolution and make it 10 miles or 15 miles an hour.
We can do something on a county road. We can lower the speed limit on a
And what we do a study, and that's what Wade's doing. We do a study on the roads, and then because out here in the valley, there's roads that they're upgraded, they're wide, and they're 40 miles an hour, and that seems to work on but up there with the hairpin turns, the narrows, it narrows and widens and so on. 40's pretty high up there.
Dirt ATV, and the guy's coming toward you in a pickup doing 40 miles an hour. You're going to eat it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly.
That assessment is logically made by the sheriff.
Right.
He's the one that needs to come and say, this is what we think is safe.
Well, and it's like Sheriff and I when we was talking, 15 miles an hour, even in your vehicle, sometimes is too fast.
You see, Dave.
Oh yeah.
Before we paved right-hand or 15 miles an hour down around them turns up there on them washboards and using the ditch.
Yeah. It's all based on condition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that is the speed limit that I would like to see up there is 15 miles an hour because of all the cabins back there on the back roads. You've got that, I wish I knew the name of it, that boys' home there at the old Inner Harmony. What's the name of that?
Just been working with it. I can't.
Gordon Birch is up there
Gordon
running
Birch's treatment center. Yeah, Monuments Academy. Thanks.
Okay. You got those people going up and down there all the time too, and their parents coming.
Oh, absolutely.
And so
yeah,
anyway.
we appreciate what you're saying.
Just turn that over to the sheriff and let him make the call on how to proceed.
And I'm working with Wade.
And we can make arrangements for the signs to be installed.
We'll get some signs up there, and we'll do what we can to get more patrols up in there. But we've been fairly short-handed.
Okay. I'll help when I'm home. I mean, I really will. So.
Well, calls from citizens are always good. And 3 feet of snow, that solves the problem too, pretty good.
Yeah, it does.
In the winter.
It does.
for a while.
Thank you for your.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Hi, I'm David Burton. I just want to add a little bit to this from a different perspective, from a livestock producer's perspective. I think one thing that could be added, I think the county does have some discretion on speed, according, like we've discussed, according to the situations and the type of road and so forth. So I think maybe evaluating it, each situation on an individual basis is what needs to be done. But I think an education perspective needs to be addressed too. And I don't know if the county can do this because there's a lot of businesses that are renting these ATVs and these UTVs, whatever. And when they rent them, I think they have a responsibility to try and give those people some education as to not just how to turn them on and off and so on, but some education as far as safety and their and being able to somehow operate them in a more safe, responsible perspective, and of course comes in the perspective of respect of private property, and livestock's private property. And there's a lot of misuse of that, like Destry was talking about. I'm chasing some sheep. I caught some years ago, and they'd rented them from over there to Bryan Head, and they were shooting our sheep with paintball guns. And I mean, this is maybe beyond the safety, but it's the responsible perspective, you know. And so I took their keys, took them back to the ones that rented them, and told them they got to go get their machines and don't ever rent them to them again. But I think there's got to be some cooperation between and responsibility assumed by those that are making this a business venture, as well as the individuals that are operating them, because it is a two-way street, and that's where a lot of it comes from. But I think the county does have the ability to address, you know, some of this from you know, maybe some, I wouldn't say a legislative, but, you know, by passing some laws, some ordinances, something, and enforcing them. And I think the enforcement has got to come from the county sheriff, not the Forest Service and the BLM or whoever. The law enforcement, I'm a firm believer, should be from the county, not from these land management agencies. And they have the ability, and I think a more long-lasting effect if there were some enforcement. Maybe the word would get around, and maybe something had come of this, because a lot of this is just, it isn't, there's a reason for a lot of people to be up there. Hopefully they're there to enjoy it. We, of course, you know, have a business venture with running livestock, but these people that are up there, they do not enjoy the vistas, the scenery, the wildlife. When they're in a cloud of dust and they're coming around on two wheels on a turn, and they're just trying to manipulate that machine, and they just as well be out on a raceway, on a racetrack, because it's not, I don't think, the intent and what maybe most people would hope for as far as the experience up there. And I guess it's back to the safety. They make that decision, what they do and how they operate that. Whatever consequences, like there was some up there at Bryan Head recently, they suffer, and they've made that choice. But what about the rest of us that don't make that choice? And we're subject to that. You know, I've got employees that can be hurt. I've got family that can be hurt. I can be hurt. And that's just not acceptable, because we don't make those choices. They do, and we shouldn't be subjected to it. We really shouldn't. And I think education will help, and some enforcement of some ordinances and things like this.
So you're right, Dave, and the problem is just located at Bryan Head. It's very prevalent in Kane County.
Oh, yeah.
It is in Garfield.
It's like Alma said, it's a nationwide thing.
I ride quite a bit. And
you're not going to do away with the ATVs and so on. We recognize that, and the UTVs, whatever. I mean, your promotion, like Destry said, I've seen your campaign on TV of the 200-mile deal. Now you had Mike Worthen out posting maps and so on, and that's fine. They just got to be responsible.
Yeah.
They just got to do it right. That's all. Yeah.
Mike restates the fact that the county does have the latitude
and
the authority to work with the sheriff and
of course you do. You do. You don't have to wait for the legislature. You can you can take care of this on a local basis. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I just got a I'm with Cedar City Trailblazers. I just, can we have some enforcement on the rule on the ATV is if you're straddling it, you should be having a helmet on if you're under the age of 18 years old. I see 8 and 10 years old, and I seen a group of them on 2300 the other day. They couldn't have been over 14 years old. They were all just in a big 4-seater, just doing 40 mile an hour down the road, just like, there's no enforcement on it. I don't see a lot of enforcement going. I see, you know, when, like, I live out there in Mid-Valley, and we get a lot of them going down the road, and I do see a lot of Iron County out there, and we appreciate it so much. But it's all over the valley. I mean, it's up on the hill. Nobody wears helmets. Nobody has insurance on them. You know, you should have a code. You know, I mean, I wear a helmet even though I'm in a RZR, because I've seen people roll RZRs over, and the first thing that hits the ground on your RZR is your head.
Right.
You know, I don't care who you are. I've seen people die, you know, on RZRs and hear about it. You know, it's just no fun. You know, it's just, I don't know what to say other than we need to get some laws in place.
Well, we appreciate you bringing it to our attention, because that is something, you know, that we don't think about every day. We appreciate it. We'll work to make it safer. Thank you.
Most people I see up there don't have helmets on. And a lot of them have been drinking too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
The problem when they do stuff is report it. You know, when Duke was sheriff, I had a whole bunch of them come across our ground up there. They had a beaten trail coming across our place, and he told me, he says, well, the only way that I know who it is to go after them or find them is that little sticker on the side of the ATV. You got to get that number off there. You know, the one that you got to get down and look at. Yeah, well, I did that with 6 of them. I was still in the search and rescue at the time, and my wife was standing in the pickup holding the mic up so that none of them would pick on you know what, because they started getting off their wheelers because they swore they were in the right. You know, but there is no law up there. When you see them driving from Bryan Head down 143 on the pavement to Parowan, they do it because they know they can, because there's no accountability, and they can get away with it, and that's a state highway. I don't know where to go from here, guys, and I don't want to burn up your whole day beating this to death, okay?
Oh, well, we're on it.
But I mean,
appreciate it.
Yeah.
I would like to be kept informed, and if all these agencies want to get together and we sit down and meet and see what we can work out, you know, that's what I'm after. Okay.
I think there are plenty of laws on the books in the state, but it's an enforcement problem, and we're short-handed many times. But we appreciate you bringing it to our attention, because
say, as a truck driver, I know about all the laws. There's a lot of them, but laws ain't worth a damn if you don't enforce them.
Exactly. Yeah.
And
So
they really like to push them on us. Okay.
So, all right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We appreciate it.
Have a nice day. Thanks.
Okay, item number 4. Item number 4 is public comments. Just to remind us of the parameters of the public comment. Ask that you take, there's a 3-minute time limit per speaker. We're not going to repeat other people's comments, only for items that are not on the agenda, no items that are related to Commission's role as an appeal board, and comments should be directed to the Commission with no personal attacks. So I'm going to open the floor for public comments.
I'm Jerry Arts from Canaryville. I spoke with you on July 23rd. There was an agenda item on the business that's located just south of Canaryville, north of Chicktrani Cliffs. Blue Skies Ranch. It had an administrative land use permit. And I chased that building and that operation for over a year and a half. I spoke with you, Mr. Bleak, in January at the Pioneer Homestead banquet dinner.
Right.
I gave you my name, phone number, email address. Never heard from you. In March, I sent you an email, a follow-up. Never heard from you. So I ended up coming to the July 23rd meeting.
And those were passed on to the planning and the building department.
Okay.
And asked them to follow.
And for a year and a half, Mr. Nye told me we cannot get into that building. For the first 6 months, he told me we can't get into that building to look at the concerns I had and I raised. The next 6 months, he said the county attorney was working on getting him in that building. Okay. The last 6 months, he came up, yeah, we can get in there anytime we want. Okay. At the July 23rd meeting, Cindy Bullock, the county assessor, indicated to you all her issues with trying to get into that building. I brought you a list of 11 businesses that are operating from there. Okay. In the Planning Commission meeting 2 Mondays ago, they admitted that there's now a 12th business in there. Okay. So when I went to the Planning Commission meeting, I asked you on the July 23rd if you would notify all of the property owners in Chickasha Cliffs of the impending discussion on changing the land use permit. And of course you didn't do that. You only notified the adjacent property owners, which are 2 vacant lots, both of which are up for sale. So I found out about the planning meeting quite by accident. I went to see Mr. Nye on Monday at 2 in the afternoon, and he told me, there's Planning Commission meeting tonight. You know, you should be there. He asked Mr. Erickson to print me off the conditional use permit that, you know, the Planning Commission was going to vote on. Mr. Erickson was in a back office talking with another county employee. I waited at the front desk for 5 minutes. No Mr. Erickson. So Chad came back out of his office, and he had Chelsea find this on a computer and then print it up. Okay? So 10 minutes later, you know, a total of 15, I could have been out of there. I stood there and wait for this. I contacted who I could in Chickasha Cliffs about it, and one of the trustees came to the meeting. One of the big concerns we have is the wastewater. You know, we don't know, you don't know the 12 businesses in there. One of them is a metal milling business that they now use. What I know about metal milling, they use water and oil to cut the metal, right? What happens to the wastewater? I don't believe, you know, based on their past performance, that they're going to get rid of that the way it should be gotten rid of. Our well is sitting, you know, probably a half mile from that building. Mr. Erickson provided a map at the Planning Commission meeting. The main drainage ditch coming out of that property, which sits higher, flows directly towards Chickasha Cliffs. Now, can our well get, you know, compromised? Yeah, sure, probably can. That's one of the major concerns. The concerns I had for a year and a half were the constant traffic going in and out. Semis in the middle of the night. You know, you hear the while they unload the semis with the forklifts. So anyway, they took the administrative land use permit that you provided on the 22nd of June of 2015. And as I said on July 23rd, they used it for toilet paper. They didn't do anything here. I mean, they built 12 businesses, 9 businesses, probably 10 since this thing was signed. So what did you do? You reward bad behavior. Now, you all got kids. So you reward your kids bad behavior? I mean, what does that lead to? Just more bad behavior. What makes you think that they're going to do anything different with this conditional land use permit than they did with the administrative land use permit? What makes you think they're going to do anything different than what they did? They're going to do what they want to do. Then they're going to come to you and try to get right. So I'm just telling you, you need to slow down here you know, at the Planning Commission meeting, county attorney spent 5 minutes telling, you know, the Civilian Volunteer Board why they should approve it. He said, I think one was denied in 10 years, I think was what the county attorney told the Planning Commission. Mr. Erickson was all in on the conditional use permit. I don't, did he ever look at, you know, the problems for the previous 3 years with the administrative land use permit that they didn't follow? They didn't follow it. So you're rewarding bad behavior. Mr. Jessup, the plant manager, one more thing.
One more thing. You're about triple your time.
All right, I thank you. Mr. Jessup, the plant manager, in the Planning Commission meeting, stood up and said, you know, we probably belong in an industrial park, and we probably will move in that direction, you know, in 3 to 5 years. He made that comment in the meeting. They need to go there now.
Well, we appreciate your comments. The county commission, unless there is some sort of an official appeal from the parties involved, whether it be the planning commission or the others, really doesn't have jurisdiction over that business. Again, you know, we have spoken with Mr. Ney. We work closely with Mr. Erickson, who are trying to bring them into compliance and make this a workable thing. But we appreciate your comments.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments or? Thank you. We've taken care of number 5. We've taken care of number 6. On to number 7. Engineering service agreement modification number 1. Consideration for approval. Horrocks Engineer Incorporated. Additional service added to the contract for the Cedar Valley Belt Route Alignment Study for $6,400. Mr. Erickson.
Yes, you have a copy of that. It describes the scope of work. We've added just a little more clarification, primarily because we got an additional $10,000 from UDOT to help evaluate the Summit Interchange and the realignment for the Summit Interchange as part of the alignment study. And so we are amending or recommending amendment to this contract for $6,400 to include the 3 items that are listed there: a more in-depth evaluation of the railroad crossing and information related to that, and the breaking out the segments for the belt route. We had what in the original scope it was to just give us 2 or 3 alignments, and now we've broken it out into 4 different areas. Each would have 2 or 3 alignments, so it added some work to their to the scope of work that allows us to, I think, get better public comment and to better evaluate the options as they're presented. So this, with the UDOT addition, makes a real good project that I think will have good results in the end.
So this isn't coming out of corridor preservation, then this is strictly UDOT?
Well, the total contract would be paid out of that, and then we would just take the $10,000 and put it into that fund to offset the cost. So
okay.
We're actually coming out a little ahead.
Great.
Where are you on public comment?
We're ready to put that on. We've amended the story map to include the alternate alignments for 5300 and 56 Highway 56. And so I just wanted to ask today if we have any additional comments the commission would like to see on that story map. Otherwise, we're ready to put it out to the public. It has not been made public yet. Okay. So I will send other entities and everybody the story map and ask them to put it on their websites for a link, and then we'll have it on our website. It'll actually be hosted on Horrocks website. We would just put a link to it on our website. So if the commission's ready to start taking comment on that, we'd like to put it out to the public.
Well, I think we are.
I think so.
I think so, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, very good.
So, Mr. Chairman, I'd move the approval of the engineering service agreement modification number 1 for approval for Horrocks Engineers, Inc. Additional services added to the contract for the Cedar City Belt Route alignment study in the amount of $6,400, recognizing that there's a $10,000 grant from UDOT that will be applied back toward the Corridor Preservation Fund.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, it is approved. Excellent. Thank you. Mr. Dotson.
I think we better go to lunch. We can't even read that before 2 o'clock.
I'd appreciate it if you
Tear that
worded
down.
all that in a motion. You're done. Back in 2006, I believe 2007, the Chamberlain subdivision was annexed into Enoch City, and part of that subdivision included a frontage road along SR 130 that Enoch City has been maintaining. It is a gravel road, actually, and it just is next to a few residential homes there. In our diligence to make sure our roads are in compliance with ourselves, we discovered that is currently owned by Iron County. For some reason, it wasn't added in at the annexation, so we're just requesting that be deeded to Enoch City, as should be, I believe.
Mr. Chairman, I'd suggest that the city manager of Enoch read the agenda item. He can get all the degrees, seconds, and
I would
minutes and
ask that
seconds.
Mr. Whitaker, the clerk who put that on the agenda, be appropriately added as a co-reader.
I just asked John, and he says it doesn't need it read in. So I'm going to make a motion that we approve disposing of this parcel, deeding it to Enoch City as per the description on here that John will put in the minute.
You could note that it's assessor's parcel number D482-16.
So noted. Do you have an acreage on that?
No. I could look it up for you.
It's 1,297 feet by 66 foot.
By 66 foot, so. Okay, so it's about
the math, I guess.
About an acre. Let's see. Yeah, it's about an acre. Okay. All right, that's my motion.
And second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That was painless.
That is approved.
Painless, you say?
One rod.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's only half. One rod, 160 rods, which is a half mile, is 1 acre. How much?
1.5.
1.5. Okay, a little more. Thanks.
All right. For agenda item number 9, we'll step out of our role as the Iron County Commission, convene as the Iron County Board of Equalization.
It does not say me, but it is me.
Figured. It usually is.
Okay. I received. Let me find it. Just a moment. Right there. I've been playing phone tag with Mitch Beeler for a while, and so I just finally, in my last correspondence, said just email me the information. And so he sent me a request for tax exempt status on a property that they purchased at 11 North, 200 West in Cedar City. They purchased it on August 1st. And so what they are requesting, the university is requesting, is that that property be made tax exempt from August 1st through the end of this year. Well, actually, henceforth and now on, as long as they own the property. They do understand that the property is taxable from January 1st through the end of July. So basically, I'm just asking that that property be approved for tax exempt status beginning August 1st. When they took possession of the property, and then they will be responsible for taxes from January
Is there
through
a dollar
the end of
amount,
July.
Kristen?
Pardon?
Do you have a dollar amount?
I do. The tax amount that would be need to be paid is $2,693.53. That's from January through the end of July, and then August through the end of December, which would be exempt or written off by the county as $1,923.99. The total taxes on that property was just over $4,600.
So you said the first 6 months is 2693.53.
Correct.
And Mr. Chairman, I'd move that we go ahead and make the adjustment to tax exempt status on property belonging to Southern Utah University, and we will acknowledge the tax that would be due from January 1st through July at the amount of $2693.53, and tax going forward through the end of the year through August through December, my hell, $1,923.99.
And that will be exempted at $1,923.99.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that is approved.
Okay.
339.
Oh, that's all signers. Sorry.
I know.
Thank you.
All right. Agenda item number 10. Before we go into our personnel issues, we will step out of our role as the Iron County Board of Equalization and step back into our role as the Iron County Commission. Lester. This is review bids and approved contract for landscaping of the Iron County Courthouse. Discussion and approval for budget change for landscaping on the Iron County Courthouse.
Here's a copy of the bids, RFPs in the back, and my beautiful hand-drawn map of the courthouse on what they were bidding. We did the RFP process on this. We got 2 contractors to reply back to it. If you look at the map that we're doing, we're eliminating probably 80% of the grass around the building. We're going to go more to a xeriscaping with some shrubs and small plants in there and trees. This also includes a concrete slab that will eventually become a picnic area, kind of a pavilion type of area. We originally were talking on the back corner of the property over here, but talking with the contractor and the slope, it's actually going to save us quite a bit of money to move it to the other side of the building, to put it right over here, kind of between the
under that locust tree.
Yeah, between there and the building, the gas meter in that area there.
Southwest
We can
corner.
actually go slightly bigger and say because it's flatter.
I think in a lot of ways that's going to be a lot more used and usable.
It will be because we can bring a sidewalk into it and make sure we're handicap accessible and it just more used side of the building. So
do you foresee putting a pavilion on it at some point?
At some point, yes. That's for future budget discussions.
How big a slab?
I'm thinking 12 by 12. So it's not huge, just enough for a couple of picnic tables and then do a little pergola over the top of it for some shade.
Is that big enough?
I haven't decided that yet. Actually, I've changed size a couple times, so.
12 isn't a very big pad.
No, but.
That's about one table.
Yeah, so.
I have a request on the southeast corner, where we've got it marked for some xeriscape, some rocks. Where that's the front of the building, I would really like that to continue to be grass. I know we've kind of talked about that. I worry about the rocks getting kicked around, and I think it would make a big difference on the appearance of the building to have that the little portion between the sidewalk and the parking area on the southeast to remain as grass. If that's feasible.
I've looked at it. The main reason I've been pushing more to go grass where we've already ripped the system out
That's where all the utilities, water.
It runs under that?
Goes right through there now. That's why it got ripped out in the first place. The rock, as long as we do it properly, will be slightly below the curb.
Great, okay.
So we shouldn't be pushing the rocks out.
Are you going to have any shrubbery in there, or is it just going to be straight
There'll
rock?
be some shrubbery and some bigger rocks in there.
So Lester, we talked about removing the trees.
Yeah.
You still have it on here.
I still have it on there.
So hurry and remove it then.
Well, I'll have to that is up for discussion on there. There is, Parowan City has requested, as we're doing this, to remove the 2 big trees out front and plant 2 new ones during this process. They are getting large, but it is a cost of about $11,000 on this project for those tree removals. Which is one of those things that's going to have to happen at some point soon. So the question is, do we do it now with the landscaping, and so we can have the new landscaping look good with it, or repair the landscaping after the trees are removed?
Landscape will look better with it than without them. I'm not on board to take those trees out, even if it was free. I'm just pay $11,000.
They're too big. If you look at the trees, they're pushing up the curb.
Yeah.
It's
well, we can replace some sidewalk for a while.
They're not unhealthy. I'm gonna go out there and tie myself to them. No.
All right, that's fine. that's no problem. It's like I said.
Or if we take them out, I'm gonna go out and cut it down and call everybody in town, and tell them to come and saw it up. $11,000. Sorry. Woo.
It sounds a lot of money, but actually on tree removal, it's actually not bad.
It's expensive when you.
Bad if there was a need. Frankly, I don't see a need. I think
that's fine.
Detriment to the facade of the courthouse to take them out. They look very
Those,
appropriate and inviting, and
they're big stately sycamores. They're beautiful. I mean, I get their concerns. I agree with Dale. Replacing concrete and gutter, it's significantly less expensive, but from the USIP perspective, I think it's all of this is much less expensive than a lawsuit if a big branch falls on a car. So I'm of 2 minds.
Yeah, like I said, I have no personal investment in those trees either way. That's the best part of being the third party here.
For the car, if it hurts a human being, then we've got a loss.
That's a fair point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Lester,
guess it depends
you've done a lot of work on both these projects the last year. You went way beyond the call of duty. So
if you look at during the estimate, we had the 2. One is MJ Landscaping, Jesse Smith, located here in Parowan, and the other one was MacArthur Landscaping out of Cedar City. MJ is considerably less, and I would recommend going with his bid. There is one stipulation in that is with the concrete, it was kind of confusing on how much we needed, and so he gave us a square footage price on concrete.
This is Jesse?
Yeah, this is Jesse. And so on the approval, I would like to have like a $5,000 window for concrete, because that's for our pad. And
what's in here now? Concrete?
Nothing. He has $7 a square foot. So he's only going to charge us for whatever concrete.
And that's 4 inches?
Yeah, 4-inch.
6 bag?
Yeah. But we also have a couple chunks of sidewalk. In order to replace some of the system, we're going to need a pop.
Well, I look at increasing that pad up to 1616 or 1620 or something. So.
Yeah, what I was figuring when I threw my cost together, I was thinking 200 square foot, which is actually much bigger than 12 by 12. 12 by 12 is only 140. So,
Mr. Chairman, I'd move we accept a bid from Jesse Smith for landscape around the courthouse with 2 exceptions to the printed bid, and then that we would substitute in place of $7 for concrete. We'd put $5,000 in, and that we would go down to the third from the second to the bottom, eliminate
the trees.
$11,780 for tree removal.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It is approved.
Lester, do we need a contingency? Is that 5,000?
5,000 for Con.
That 5,000 is kind of my contingency.
You think that'll work?
I think so. The nice thing with landscaping is my contingency is also depending on the plants I pick and rock. So there is actually that's actually what I did. The cost of the rock is actually quite expensive. Hey, I'm going to make whatever Debbie wants, Debbie gets. That's all that matters.
Okay, it's all that matters.
Part of the landscaping is I actually do have sign designed, and I emailed this to John so he can put it up for everybody.
We need to prune it, take care of them, which I think.
These are all the same.
These are all the same.
Oh, and I've got this here. Thank you.
I just ended up working with Rainbow Sign and Banner to get us a couple designs on these. They don't have the estimated cost to me yet. I was hoping to have it before the meeting, but it has not happened.
What do you pick out of the air?
What's that?
What's your number out of the air? 20?
Probably. It all depends.
Really?
We have options right here. They're showing this brick option, which personally I think would look good if we got some brick that would be close to the building. That's also the most expensive option. We could go to a stucco option. Essentially, they come in and they give us the base, which is a styrofoam base, and then you stucco it. That's a whole lot less money than a brick option, and so there is pros and cons with both of them. I really like the brick option because it's solid. And
because it looks substantial.
Yeah, it looks like it will be here for years.
When the tree falls over, will it hold it? No. Just
when the tree falls down, you can roll into the sign and it will give you that. Like they teach you to lay next to the table now instead of under the table during earthquakes.
Where are we on the fascia out front?
The fascia, now I actually have a cost to get it repaired. We have two options on that. For $2,000, they will come in and repair all the patches. And for $11,000, they will come in, repair the patches, and put a higher density stucco on top of everything. And this is just the band. That, according to the guy, that they use it where it's popular to shoot stucco with pellet guns. So because that way, if the bird comes back, it would have a harder time breaking through it.
What were the two prices then?
$2,000 for the repair, and it's just a little over $11,000 for.
Have we had any problems since you put up the whirlybirds?
We haven't, but also by the time we got the whirlybirds up, we also were at a mating season. That's according to the individuals we were talking with. It was a male woodpecker doing his mating thing.
Yep.
I thought it was funny too.
He's looking.
I grew up thinking they were pecking for bugs or something, but no, it's nothing about that at all.
Yeah.
He's looking for love.
All about making noise.
It was making noise. And we were loud, and
we should have been making noise with a pellet gun.
Hey, we did talk to the Parowan.
I tried to make an arrangement with Chief Carpenter.
Chief Carpenter to take care of it because it's like we can't discharge a gun in the city limits, but he could.
So the band all the damage is on the same.
Yeah, it's all So what we were talking about, the choice we have, and I'll go whatever direction you'd like me to go, is to go and replace the spot. Just do the repair, or replace that color band, and it would just be the dark color. They wouldn't be touching anything else. Just that dark
whole
color.
fascia.
Yeah.
Well, it would be a good time to do it before the landscaping, huh?
Yeah, they had to do it all off of a man lift. So.
And they come and repair one hole and let us look at it.
Well,
I wonder how bad it'll be, how noticeable it'll be.
It will be noticeable. You will see it no matter what we do because the color will be slightly different.
Yeah.
Will it look bad? Probably not, but it will always be noticeable.
Yeah.
I'm inclined just to do the patch.
I am. And if we look up there time after time and it bugs the heck out of us, I guess we'll have thrown $2,000 down the tube and spend $11,000.
Well, and the hard thing is once you get the landscaping in, it gets a little bit trickier. Like I say, we got to have a scissor lift or whatever. Yeah. What did you say, Nicole?
Well, I think we should do the more permanent thing. Instead of $2,000 every time they have to come back.
Does that include wrapping the posts out front?
It does not include the wrapping of the post out front. The commissioner to your left does not like the idea of the post being wrapped.
I know, but
And
I think it would be nice, and as long as they're gonna come and fix the fan, it would be less overall to have to do it at the same time if you're ever going to do it. But I'm not a commissioner,
You think they can provide a cost estimate in the next 2 weeks?
on this, yes, I was actually surprised I didn't have it today.
Signed?
Yeah, so hopefully I will have that in the next. Actually, hopefully I have it this week.
What's the center portion?
What's that?
What is that?
What material is the?
It's a. I'm actually not sure.
Is it styrofoam?
No, they would be you would be a metal or a composite material. It's what they're going to put. Essentially, if we went with the brick version, how it works is Rainbow will do that center section, and I hire a different contractor to do the brickwork. And so it would be we either would go with a stainless type material or a bronze, depending on that's really your choice color difference between your A and your B.
Except the top thing is both. I like B, but I would like that whatever you call that spoiler.
Yeah, with our spoiler up there.
I like that to be bronze also. And then, as I mentioned to you the other day, we need to put the street number on the sign also.
I agree with you on that. So.
I definitely think we should do brick since we do have a stucco problem with our birds. No styrofoam, please.
The brick looks nice. So what's the base and the cap? Is that stucco? Or is that concrete?
It looks stucco to me. These are very preliminary designs. So it was one of those, if we like it, then I'll start pursuing more options.
I like the idea of a tinted concrete. I think that's.
The base would be concrete.
Yeah, it's
cap ought to be also.
Yeah, because they could do a poured concrete cap, or even do like we did at the public safety building, where we went with that stone cap.
So then you'll arrange for the concrete base.
Yeah, I'll do all the arranging to get it done. I'll just work with, working with them for the design, and then they'll obviously do all the logo and the printing and all that.
So would we have colored concrete on that base and cap? Wonder what
we would have to match the building, which really, like he's showing tan, but we are not tan here. We're more of a we're dark grays. So, but yes, we could color the concrete.
I think we're moving in the right direction. I think it's.
Especially if we can talk about it in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Get underway.
So, is there any particular? It looks like we're
here in the building
leaning towards B. Then I can just pursue the one, and that narrows everything down.
I prefer B.
All right.
Any Debbie, since you have nothing to lose.
Oh, sorry.
Top right.
Right with the dark. No, it's A.
The letters are kind of.
Ours happens to have that on it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That upper band, I believe, is actually a down light.
Oh really?
Yes, it was one of my requirements. I'm trying to push more down lighting so we can keep our dark skies.
We're pretty bright at night.
Yeah, this building is pretty bright at night.
You could spot us from space, I think.
Well, let's look at A and B both, because that lighter background.
Yeah, and that's not, the cost isn't, between A and B are gonna be exactly the same, so. It's just that, because they had the C and D, which were two different.
I think for me, I lean with B only because we kind of have the motif in us inside the building of like a brushed metal, and that would be very cool. And I think if it were stainless, it would hold up really well.
Yeah.
I think we're moving in the direction of replacing our 3 entries also with bronze. So this would match that.
Yeah. So we'll do
that's what we talked about
Bronzewood.
doing. So.
Well, that can wait a while.
It can wait, but
We'll let
I think,
someone else
I
vote
think
on
this
that-
should
vote
match
on that
what
one.
the,
Forward-looking.
yeah.
Said we'll let somebody else vote on that one.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Any other questions?
So you're okay to go ahead with, we'll do the $2,000
Yeah, we'll go ahead and do it.
bird holes?
Yep, we'll do the patch. I'll do the patch for the bird holes. I'll get a hold of them and get it scheduled, and then
So
I'll let the contractor know.
need to visit with Dan about a budget for that.
Yeah.
Why don't you just tie it to the landscape? Well, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Well,
it's either way. It's
All money.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
where we didn't have really any maintenance budget or anything for this building. It's makes it difficult to do anything. Otherwise, it would have been taken care of.
Thanks, that's
Please do your mating study so you can get the whirly up there
Well,
early next year.
Hopefully, the Whirlies take care of it. But
Yeah.
In future building projects, we will have a woodpecker mating contingency budget.
yeah.
comment.
Item number 11, Adrian, we'll turn the time to you for personnel issues.
So just a few personnel related agenda items here. Just going in order. The first one is just simply requesting the final approval on a pay increase for Robert Hunt, who is a corrections medical technician. He recently completed his post certification, and as part of our original hiring agreement with him, it specified that upon completing that training, there would be a $1 per hour increase. So we're just asking for that to go into effect as of the current actually the pay period that's being processed this week. So with the effective date of July 29th of 2018, that increase would take him from $19.47 per hour to $20.47 per hour. The next one, if you want to combine,
Let's combine A1 and B1.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So the next one is another increase for Sean Peterson, Deputy Sean Peterson. He recently provided all of the certifications to prove his training regarding the K-9 certifications. And per county and Iron County Sheriff's Office policy, with the K-9 certification, he would be eligible for a 2% increase. And also looking for that to be effective as of the pay period that's being processed this week. So again, July 29th, 2018, that 2% increase would take Deputy Peterson from $22.57 per hour to $23.02 per hour.
All right, I move approval in the Corrections Department of a pay increase for Robert Hunt for completion of Post Academy per his hiring agreement. His increase would be $1 from 1947 to 1947 to 2047. Effective date July 29, 2018. Also move for approval of a pay increase for Sean Peterson, which is 2% for receiving his K-9 certifications. That will put him at $23.02 per hour. Effective date July 29, 2018.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Okay, and B2 is the request for approval to add 2 new victim advocate positions. So this isn't backfill. This would be adding 2 positions to work under the supervision and direction of the Iron County Sheriff's Office, with coordination with the Cedar City Police Department. This is being this kind of originated with Stephanie Furnival, the CJC director, who and Stephanie has verified that there's been a grant secured for these positions. And I know we've had a little bit of prior correspondence, so I'm not sure how in-depth you want me to get, but
I think Stephanie was here this morning for departmental reports and
okay, and she covered,
filled it in, and we're aware of it. So
great. So we're looking at. It's my understanding we would just do this if approved. These positions would be, subject to future grant funding. So we would write it that way, but they would be benefits eligible positions in the meantime. And it's anticipated that, again, the funding's in place for this year, and on the next approval cycle, Stephanie, and she may have mentioned this already, but she said that is looking at a 2-year.
What does this year mean? Calendar 18 or
July?
fiscal?
Good question. It was approved from July 1st of 2018 to June 30th, 2019, is the current approval.
So it's a 1-year. It's a 1-year grant at the moment.
Yes.
Be reapplied for every year.
And then she said on the next request it would be a 2-year term, is how she specified it.
You're saying it'd be a 3-year, second term would be 3 years?
No, 2. 2. So when it's requested in 2019, that would take it through 2021.
Then I'd move the approval to add 2 new victim advocate positions to work under supervision and direction of the sheriff, while coordinating efforts with Cedar City Police Department and CJC with the stipulation that these positions would be vacated at such time as the grant has expired and is not reapplied for, so there's no confusion about these transferring from soft to hard funding.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It is approved. Emergency management.
Emergency management, I was hoping to get over here a little earlier today, but had some things in the office, but I'm assuming Mr. Coulson was able to introduce himself.
He was sworn in this morning.
Okay, perfect. Mr. Coulson, George Coulson, was recently gone through the recruiting and hiring process. Was selected to fill the emergency management coordinator position, which is a backfill of a vacant position recently created by John Higley's resignation. We got a lot of good qualified, experienced applicants as part of that recruiting process. I think George brings a lot of prior experience and knowledge that will serve Iron County well. But we're looking for his formal approval of with the higher effective date of August 13th, 2018. And again, it's a backfill.
Okay, I would move approval in the Emergency Management Department of new hire George Coulson as Emergency Management Coordinator, effective date today, 8/13/2018, backfill of a vacant position.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
It's approved.
No.
Okay, the building department section. Just also have had some prior coordination and discussion regarding some like a minor reorganization within the building department. Chad can correct me if I kind of get off track here, but basically we're looking at taking Nathan Dennett, who you may remember it was a few months ago that we had promoted. He had been promoted to a building inspector zoning officer position with the charge to obtain certain certifications and training that would be required to continue those duties. After a short review period, Chad is making the recommendation in terms of something that would work better within the building and zoning department is to reorganize and let Mr. Dennett maintain those duties, but also take upon some of his prior maintenance technician duties, while also providing Jeffrey McKee the same opportunity to work and to train as a building inspector, zoning officer, while maintaining some of the the balance of the maintenance technician duties. So with that reorganization and the change regarding their job duties, we would just be looking at the request to not only approve their position change and job duties and functions, but also to adjust the wages. Mr. Dennett downward to $19.51 per hour, and Mr. McKee upwards to $19.51 per hour, which is about $1.50 change in each direction for the both of them, with the effective date of the current pay period, which would be August 12th, 2018. Did you add anything, Chad? Okay.
This is a different position we've normally taken. Kind of a change of pace, but I'd move the approval of the position pay adjustment for Nathan Dennett and Jeff McKee as outlined by HR Director Adrian Walker. The new effective hourly rates for each will be $19.51 effective August 12.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It is approved.
Just for added clarification, so with those adjustments, there's no budget impact either. So obviously, just wanted to clarify that with those adjustments. The final personnel.
I'm sorry. Both of those were 1951.
Correct.
Correct. Okay.
Yes. The final agenda item under engineer is the request. I think Steve Platt has had some discussion with Commissioner Adams regarding the need to add another position in his department, which would, that it's centered around working more efficiently with the current equipment operator, and with some of the, how was it explained? It was more like the workload is increased. It's felt by Steve that the position would be justified and would help with some of the just the work related to some of the recent flooding and some of the damages done by the Bryan Head fire. Correct?
Right, correct. The proposed position is a truck driver. We have a truck. There's one man that operates the track hoe and the truck. And but we never really, even before the fire, we never seemed to be able to stay ahead of all the flooding issues. That's why probably about 14, 15 years ago, the commission at that time decided to have a full-time flood, track hoe operator, because just to stay ahead of the flooding situation in the county. And so we can never move enough dirt, doesn't seem like, to keep ahead of everything.
What's the budget consequence?
So what we're looking at doing is a similar position to like a maintenance worker within the road department. So that's kind of what I base numbers off of. So we'll be looking at a starting wage in the neighborhood of $16.32 per hour. Just a full-time position, that's $34,000 a year. With the added, benefits, cost of about right around $25,000 to $28,000 would be a high estimate. So, or 62, so it'd impact the budget by about 60 to 62. That's a safe estimate.
So 5 months of that.
About
$5,000 a month. 5, you're about a little less than 30,000.
Yeah, about 25,800 would be for the remainder of this year.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure he needs a position. I'm impressed with what he's done on the mountain. My preference to wait and bring this back at budget time instead of not doing a mid-year appointment. But that's not a motion. So
Well, it's just for discussion today. Well, possible approval. And I think Steve's out of town or he'd be here today, but one question I have is sometimes the track hoe operator is just, you know, digging but not putting into a truck, and so so I wonder exactly what, you know, he'll have him do during those periods. I'd like to have that answered. I'm generally in favor of this.
The way it was explained to me, and surely Steve would better answer this, but we did touch upon that because I had a similar concern and question, and he said that during that time, which he doesn't anticipate, there's so much work right now that he doesn't anticipate that being an immediate issue, but if it was to occur at some future date, he had conversations with Preston in the road department that's why he thought it'd make a lot of sense to match up the job responsibilities and requirements similar in terms of position descriptions, because he would anticipate him helping on the road side if it was reached a point in the future where there wasn't a need, or if it was hit the peaks and valleys or a lull in terms of when it was and wasn't needed. That's how Steve kind of summarized it, but again, it'd probably be beneficial to have him maybe go into more detail. But
well, another thought is if it worked and he had, you know, stuff stockpiled like he does up here in the canyon now, and UDOT's supposed to be coming and hauling it away, and when he's not there, then there's usually a loader there. So if a loader could be borrowed from the road department and this truck driver could do his own loading at those times, then, you know, that would be another option. So, and I know that there's no question that this will entail the purchase of a newer truck. Within the one they've got now is pretty it'll work for, you know, maybe a couple of years, but there's no question that a newer truck will be needed at some point. But
well, we'll be starting budgets in October. I'd much rather see us deal with it as a budget item instead of doing a mid-year budget adjustment.
Adrian, was there any discussion about this position being funded in part by the emergency watershed protection monies, or was this to be our in-kind, or did you have any such discussion?
Did not address that to any degree.
I doubt if it fits in under, because we're using our participation as in-kind.
So this would contribute to our in-kind, but yeah.
I don't believe there's any money in that for positions. We just do in-kind, and then they pay us the money to do the projects.
Got a motion? Or you want me to? I'm gonna
call for motion.
I'd move to move this on to budget consideration at budget time for the new calendar year 2019.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen.
Chief Adams, do you want to, I know you're here.
Thank you. Hello, Commissioners.
Morning.
I just wanted to take a moment and thank you for your support of this victim advocate position, and really to rave about Stephanie. I don't have to do that. I know how valuable she all is, but yes. Anyway, there's a bit of a disconnect, as you can well imagine, between investigators and victims. And if you've ever been victimized, you know how that feels. Oftentimes you don't get the service or the attention that you need or deserve, and so
sure.
I know I can speak for the sheriff as well, but this will be huge for all of us to have that connection for these victims when these investigators get so busy that oftentimes can't reach out and follow up. So just wanted to vocally thank you all for that support, and to thank Stephanie for her effort. She didn't have to do this, and she's worked hard in addition to everything else that she does. Then on a second note, just wanted to give thanks to the road department, particularly Wade, not because he's my brother, for his help in the tour of Utah. He went above and beyond to bring signs in and to set those up for us, and to help direct traffic control with Sergeant Womack when he didn't have to. So thanks to him and to Preston for allowing him to do that. It was a huge help and a benefit. So thank you. Thanks for the time.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, let's invite Joanna and the sheriff to give us a little report on the renovation of the ladies' wing at the jail.
Please.
Go ahead. Were you gonna speak? It's been approved, or Lester, you looked at the plans, right?
Yeah,
And-
he's approved it. We've been through the plans with them. They sent them to us, and we've been through the plans. We still need to do official plan check for it. For permit purposes, they've contacted Cedar City and they've kicked it back to us, which we knew they would. My last conversation with Mike was to have him get everything out for bid.
Yep.
So as soon
We're
as
having to buy a permit?
What's that?
We're having to purchase a building permit?
Yeah, Chad wouldn't cut anything out of it. No, it's all done in, where Cedar City, we always have an agreement with them unofficially where because it's in Cedar City, we have to take it to Cedar City, but they kick it back to our building department, so we do it in-house, and so there'll be a permit, but it will be a zero cost.
It's about ready to bid.
They won't charge us. They do it.
Yeah.
It's about ready to bid.
It is ready to
Yeah.
bid. Talking to Mike this morning, he's getting ready to send it out.
What's the estimate? Engineer's estimate?
Oh.
We
Architect?
approved 130, I think.
I think it's coming in a little less than that.
We thought that had some contingency. In fact, I think we expect about 110 based on estimate, didn't we?
Yeah.
Didn't we approve 130?
It was 130.
So, yeah.
Okay.
So, we're excited to see this moving forward for sure. Are you?
Really excited. Thank you.
Do you have any estimated time of construction?
I have no idea.
How long it'll take?
It's gonna create some challenges because some of the concrete, it has to be wheelbarrow back into there.
Yeah.
Getting the workers in and out of the facility every day, and there's some challenges working inside of an operating facility.
Lester, are we expecting about 6 months on that, Chad? What do we, huh?
The amount that they're doing, it's actually not a huge renovation. Your biggest cost is the fact that it is an operational facility, and the standards that have to be done for penal type work.
Well, and the biggest part of it's the plumbing. That's
Yeah.
the biggest part of the whole project right there. The major cost, just the plumbing contractors' involvement.
Yeah, because you're working on those, bidding those out. Those toilets alone are $3,000 to $5,000 a piece.
Well, your saw cut.
Nice, Commissioner. I'd estimate less than 90 days.
Less than 90.
It's really pretty simple.
Well, the worst thing's
The magnitude of the.
is the saw cut for the sewer line, is it not? That's the worst, that's the saw cut for the sewer line? That their worst thing?
Yeah, the worst thing will be cutting the concrete in the.
And that's all in the
Existing
plumbing
floor.
contract.
Yeah.
And then, once that's completed, are you going to need some budgetary consideration for bunks and,
I think that was included. I think that
That's part of-
possibly was included with the
proposal that
the
Mike-
proposed,
yeah.
the 130.
you know, Lester, when you look?
I don't know. It doesn't, the plans don't show that. I would assume, because the cost that they're giving me and the cost that I'm looking for the building, it would seem that you would have some cost. The cost
just the-
difference in there would be.
Just the plumbing contract is between 60 and 70,000.
Yeah.
I know their estimate was 60 when they.
Yeah, your plumbing and your heating is roughly 20,000.
Yeah.
And so, then you have all your finish work, so.
So you think we're probably funded to move in?
I think
Yes.
that price, that initial
Bunks
quote
and
by-
bedding and
The original proposal included all of that.
the whole shot.
Right.
That's exciting. Invite us down sometime in the middle of that, will you?
We'll have a grand opening.
Yeah.
Can we have a
Everybody.
pre-opening sleepover? We could all-
That's a really good idea.
Hey.
You guys
You
to
can
work
say
that
you
night
spent a
too.
night in jail.
I
That's
will
right.
pass, so.
Commissioner spent a night in jail.
A t-shirt.
We'll treat you to breakfast.
All right.
Hey, let me throw one as long as you're there. Inmate work crew availability for the fair. I know talking with Joyce, it's really a concern to pull the fair off. Are we where they're available yet?
Yeah, it's up and running.
Excellent.
I mean, of course, we had to hire overtime to cover it, but I
Right.
I knew that that would be the best choice to make sure the county was taken care of too, and then explain that. But we did all last week. They were working. I don't believe they're there today, but then Deputy Bird, that's over the work crew, should be back tomorrow. So we're into it already.
Yeah, we've already had them over there.
And I'll put in a shameless plug. My son is doing his Eagle project, helping to beautify the fairgrounds Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Please come. There'll be refreshments.
Oh,
Bring
nice.
shovels and gloves.
Yeah, as long as we're shameless plugging. My son, there's still a few things left to do, but the bulk of his Eagle project we did on Saturday. We painted the southern exposure of the grandstands. Was a task. I told him when he does complete part of his complete, he's going to put together some slides and come and present that to the commission. So,
Cool.
but it's if you have a chance to look at the back of the grandstands, it's not perfect, but it sure looks lots better than when we started. So
great.
Todd Robinson, the mayor of Paraguna, with his pressure washer, blew all the old stuff off. So
Nice.
it was.
Mr. Blake, if I may, along the lines of the work crew, I did utilize them last week myself on a project for the fairgrounds. It worked great. Good work crew you got.
They are.
Oh, good.
Thank you.
I know. Just talking to Joy, she was concerned about that a couple of weeks ago, and I
Yeah.
told her we'd be on it. So I figured
She's
it was-
concerned 24/7. She's never out of concern.
Give her a few weeks and it'll be less.
well, then she can take a breath.
There comes around, I can see her stress level climb.
Yeah.
She pours her heart and soul into it.
She's
She
a
does.
very busy
Absolutely,
lady
yeah.
year round. It's not just fair time.
Yeah.
So she is the fair lady.
Fair lady.
She's our fair lady.
Yeah. I don't know if it was mentioned here, but the cover for the two large grandstands to the west of the old grandstand is going to be here the day after the fair. So unfortunately, we won't have it for this year. It just didn't work. But anyway, the money's there, and they'll be here. So
Right.
I've got another question for you guys after, if you can stay for 5 minutes.
Chad, did you respond to the Harker inquiries out in the valley?
I haven't, because we're that close to having a whole lot of information put together that I can forward to them also. So.
Okay, I told him you'd do it within 2 weeks. That was 3 weeks ago. No, I don't know when.
Okay, last week. No, yes.
Anyway, you'll handle that.
Your attachments, either on that one if you want to.
Okay.
while we're on that, the Check Shawnee Cliff situation, just north of there, they were granted the conditional use permit. So, yeah, just give us a little rundown on how you're going to deal with that and what the situation is.
A lot of good advice from you gentlemen and our legal counsel. Actually, I have heard a lot about that just since I left town. I've had a lot of phone calls that we did get thrown under a bus, especially our planner, Reed Erickson, who just does what the code and ordinances that are adopted say to do. I feel bad for Check Shawnee that they would think that's the situation, but they have come into compliance with everything we've asked them to do. That company has really worked with us. They're really an innovative type company. They have a lot of exciting things on the horizon, even more than they're doing in this area right now. They have one that they're working on that's huge. They're going to move out. They're working on some property out in the Gap right now, out in the Iron Springs Gap. So quite exciting times. We're on a major
what about
highway.
sewer? Because they're concerned about water disposal. You know,
You would
gentleman
have
that's
to
here,
talk
so-
to the professionals there. We deem the Southwest District Health Department, DEQ, are professionals on wastewater. Therefore, they have all of the right approvals. We've checked into that and worked closely with DEQ and Southwest Health Department. And so we have to say, hey, they're the professionals at it, and we really think that they've covered us on that.
But that did happen,
Obviously
though.
they have. It has happened, yes. Yes.
Okay.
So I'm assuming that we notified, as per law, the adjacent property owners. They live half a mile or a mile away, and we've satisfied the terms of the law for notification for the
That's
public,
correct.
for the public hearing.
Yes. Yeah, and along those lines, that's the same thing that's happening out in the other area out by Woolsey's Ranch, that the people don't think we're notifying out far enough. And our legal counsel, our lead planner, Reed, and myself have discussed that extensively over the years, and unless your opinions change, Mike, I think we're still there. So, yeah, we will take any input we can get, though. I don't care how far away they are. It's always helpful to develop a land use permit, to have as much input. Those people that live there, they are going to recognize the impacts much more so than us. Then we can mitigate the impacts. Along those lines, 91, to kind of defend our ordinances, 91 is our major highway through this county. Who would not expect that we're not going to develop a considerable amount of commercial businesses along that route? I think it's great planning. I think we're on a good course. And if I may, one more update on a third thing that is coming to light. Mike, I emailed you the other day on this. I'm meeting with his people tomorrow. I hope you can get me that information back. If you remember, years ago we issued a land use permit for a group home type out on the old Robinson farm. The Parowan people are very aware of that one. On the old D. Robinson farm out in Parowan Valley. Shiloh Ranch and Kiva Point, Habibians, remember? They took us to court. They took us to task. We did end up...
We went to mediation up.
Yeah.
Yes, that is a mediation that we finally, after years and years, a lot of work, finally landed on agreement. They're meeting with me in the morning to move forward with that now, so...
It's a new company, though, right?
Yes, Habibians did sell it to one called Sequel. I look at Mike. You'll recognize that name, I'm sure. Habibians sold out 100% to them, and they are a very worldwide type company that does run group homes. So,
Okay, this one we're talking about now has a 28 cap?
It does, yes, 28.
Yeah, I think that's what we approved. I think that's correct, Commissioner.
We offered 12. Remember, they offered 12 and 2 mediation. We ended
They
at
offered
28.
4.
Way back.
Oh, we offered 4.
Well,
yeah.
way back, Commission before us when it was.
Yeah, and then we finally come up to 12. I
We
think.
spent a
Finally, we landed
day
on
with
28.
mediation, Mike and I, and we finally got down from 48 with no payout, no bailout, no
Right.
recourse on us, and we finally settled on 28 as a
Yeah.
to get out of probably, I thought, major litigation.
So anyway, any advice from anybody? Not right now, but maybe individually through my office, whatever, this evening, whatever. I really need some, Mike.
I can get you, I saw your email.
Okay.
About
Okay. All right. Anything else?
Has more impact on the sheriff.
Thanks for that information. I just wanted that for information, so when the barrage comes in, I appreciate it.
Yeah, through that, I feel sorry for Commissioner Adams. Through all of that, we both got a lot of thanks and stuff from the area, and I think that when this happens, it's going to be hard, but we'll get through it. Thank you for the support on reorganization of my department now. That's what's going to work best. Just real quick, the reason I wanted to even out is Jeff on his own has obtained 3 of his certifications already. I think maybe I emailed you on this, did I? I think I did, maybe. But if I did, I apologize. Just publicly, I want to brag on Jeff a little bit that on his own that he did obtain 3, and he's going to test on the 4th one tomorrow. And so I'll bet you by tomorrow at this time, because he's doing it first thing in the morning, well, it'll be 1 or 2 o'clock, the time he's done the test. But I'll bet you we can send him out on any residential inspection.
When's Nathan's completed?
Nathan has 2 of his now and working on his 3rd and 4th. So hopefully
Jeff's
he can.
working on his 4th.
And Jeff will have his 4th by tomorrow. But Nate's done good also. These are quite stringent tests, sir. I've expressed that before, that they're a little hard, but we have some good guys there. It's also setting our department up like I think Commissioner Brinkerhoff intended it to be, and helping me do so. Gives me a lot wider range to hire from and train without stealing from other inspection departments. Obviously, to keep the PR better within Cedar City and so forth. It's really a good program for us at this time. In fact, I spent the weekend with about 6 other building officials at Bear Lake playing around last weekend, and this is a huge problem up there. All they're doing is playing musical inspector.
Yeah.
Round and round they go and trying to outdo each other in wages to attract people, and it's wicked, just like the police department. You're playing the game too. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know what those guys were there.
Any non-delegated? Anything?
Anything from
I was gonna.
Adam?
That was my next. If you have any words of wisdom for us.
Too many to list right now.
Great. Okay. No. I lost my train of thought. We'll be adjourned. My lack of sleep's kicked in. Oh, I gotta. I'll tell you something off the record.
Okay. I'm gonna drop some timesheets out first too late.
Great.
Commissioner, you gotta explain something to me. How on earth can I do a 5 minute